let's dive into a story from the Quran that is just timeless. It's a parable about a paradise right here on Earth. But here's the thing. This paradise wasn't destroyed by some huge, epic natural disaster. No, it was lost to something much more human, a crisis of the heart. I want you to just picture this. One evening, there's this magnificent garden. It's so lush, so abundant, it's the envy of everyone around. Full of ripe fruit, probably rivers flowing through it, just perfect. Then the very next morning, it's gone. In its place, nothing but a black, barren wasteland, a field of ash. This shocking overnight transformation is where our story begins. And this is the crucial part. There was no earthquake, there was no flood, no obvious catastrophe that anyone saw or heard. Something happened in the dead of night, while the world was sleeping, that turned this heaven on earth into a hellscape. So what was it? Let's unravel this mystery together. To understand what happened, we actually have to go back in time. Our story starts in a village called Darwan, which is said to have been near Sana'a in Yemen. And this is where the garden's incredible story and its blessing truly began. Now get this. The man who originally owned this garden, a deeply righteous man, his generosity was on another level. He wasn't just charitable, he was, you could say, revolutionary. Every single year, he would give away 3/4 of his entire harvest to the poor and needy. 75%. Just let that number sink in for a moment. And this was his philosophy, the core of his belief. He saw his incredible wealth not as his own, but as a trust from God. He was trying to teach his sons that the garden's amazing abundance wasn't because of some magic in the soil. No, the secret ingredient, the reason for all that blessing, was giving. Well, after this righteous father passed away, his 3 sons inherited that magnificent garden. But, as you've probably guessed, they did not inherit his wisdom. They didn't inherit his gratitude. For them, the real test of their character was just about to begin. You see, their entire mindset was the total opposite of their father's. When they saw the lines of poor people waiting for their share, they didn't see an opportunity for blessings. They saw a burden. To them, their father's charity wasn't some spiritual investment. It was just a foolish loss on their financial spreadsheets. So, one night, they huddle together in secret, and they hatch this cold, calculated plan. They decide they're going to sneak out to the garden before dawn, before anyone else is awake, and harvest every last fruit. Their goal? To make sure that not a single piece of fruit would reach the hands of the needy. This was a premeditated plot to hoard what they believed was theirs and theirs alone. Now, you might think their mistake was simple. They made their plans, they swore their oaths, but they forgot to say, Insha'Allah, if God wills. And yeah, that's true, they did forget. But their real crime, their real transgression, went so much deeper than just a few forgotten words. You see, the real sin was a complete forgetting of God in their hearts. It was the greed, it was the arrogance, and it was that deliberate, secret plot to deprive the poor of a right that God himself had placed in that wealth. That was the true poison. And so, while the brothers slept, probably dreaming of all the riches they'd have to themselves, a divine decree was passed. While they were lost in their greedy dreams, a silent visitor was sent to their precious garden. The Qur'an uses a very specific word for this, a ta'if, a visitor, a calamity from the Lord, that swept through the garden while they were sleeping. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, it was a silent, all-consuming fire that left absolutely nothing behind. The judgment was swift, it was silent, and it was absolute. The next morning comes, and the brothers wake up early, buzzing with that greedy energy. They're whispering to each other, "Hurry, hurry, let's go before any of the poor people see us." They set out to execute their sinister plan, completely oblivious to what was waiting for them. They arrive at the location, and they just stop dead in their tracks. All they see is this blackened, burned-out piece of land. And their first reaction is just pure confusion. This can't be it. We must have taken a wrong turn in the dark. But as the sun starts to rise, the horrible, sickening truth begins to dawn on them. They didn't lose their way. This ruin, this field of ash, is their magnificent inheritance, and the shock just melts into this dawning horror. And it's the middle brother, the most moderate one, who had apparently tried to warn them, who finally speaks the terrible truth. He cries out, No, we are the mahrumin. We are the deprived ones. Didn't I tell you to glorify your Lord? And in that moment, the reality of what they've done and what's been done to them finally hits them like a ton of bricks. This concept of mahrumin is just so powerful. The deprived. By plotting to deprive the poor of their share, they themselves were the ones who were ultimately deprived. In their selfish attempt to hoard every last bit of their blessing, they had it all stripped away completely. The irony is as total as it is devastating. So, what do we take from all this? The story of the owners of the garden isn't just some ancient tale from Yemen. It's a universal and timeless warning for every single one of us. For anyone who possesses any kind of blessing, whether it's wealth, health, knowledge, or even just your time. And that brings us to the core message of the whole story. A blessing isn't just a gift for you to enjoy. It is a test. It's a test of our gratitude, a test of our humility, and, maybe most importantly, a test of our willingness to share what we've been given. So, how do we pass this test? How do we protect our own gardens? Well, this story teaches us that charity, zakat, it's not an expense on your balance sheet. It is an investment. It is the insurance policy on your blessings. Recognizing who the giver is, sharing what he's given you, being grateful not just in words but in action, this is what purifies and protects everything we have. Which brings us to the final, crucial question that we all have to ask ourselves. The job we have, the family we love, the health we enjoy. Every single blessing is a garden that has been entrusted to us. It's a test from our Lord. So, looking at our own lives, at our own gardens, are we acting like the righteous father, or are we starting to think like his heedless sons? Are we passing the test,